U.S. categorizes China, Pakistan as countries of particular concern over severe violation of religious freedom. China, North Korea, and Pakistan have been designated as countries of particular concern by the United States for participating in and tolerating particularly severe violations of religious freedom, news agency PTI reported. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated in announcing the religious freedom designations that strengthening religious or belief freedom has been a major goal of U.S. foreign policy since Congress established and adopted the International Religious Freedom Act in 1998. Blinken announced last week that as part of that enduring commitment, he has designated Burma, China, Cuba, North Korea, Eritrea, Iran, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan as countries of particular concern for having engaged in or tolerated particularly severe violations of religious freedom. In Islamabad, Pakistan's Foreign Office disputed the U.S.'s biased designation of it as a country of particular concern on Monday. According to the Foreign Office, Pakistan is a diversified society with a strong legacy of interfaith cooperation, and it has taken extensive efforts to promote religious freedom and defend minority rights in accordance with its constitution. We categorically reject Pakistan's designation as a country of particular concern by the U.S. State Department. We are deeply dismayed that the designation is based on biased and arbitrary assessment, detached from ground realities, the FO was quoted by PTI in its report. According to the statement, Pakistan is adamant that the modern challenges of religious intolerance, xenophobia, and Islamophobia can be best addressed via constructive engagement and concerted efforts based on mutual understanding and respect. In a similar vein, Pakistan has engaged the U.S. bilaterally, and its reservations regarding the designation have been addressed to the U.S. side, according to the FO. Blinken also added Algeria, Azerbaijan, the Central African Republic, the Comoros, and Vietnam to the special watch list for committing or tolerating serious abuses of religious freedom. Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Houthis, ISIS Sahel, ISIS West Africa, Al-Qaeda offshoot, Jamaat Nasr al-Islam wal Muslimin, and the Taliban were listed as entities of particular concern. The senior U.S. ambassador also stated that severe breaches of religious freedom occur in non-designated nations. Governments must end abuses such as attacks on members of religious minority communities and their places of worship, communal violence and lengthy imprisonment for peaceful expression, transnational repression and calls to violence against religious communities, among other violations that occur in too many places around the world, Blinken said. He went on to say that the threats to religious freedom across the world are structural, systematic, and deeply established. But with thoughtful, sustained commitment from those who are unwilling to accept hatred, intolerance, and persecution as the status quo, we will one day see a world where all people live with dignity and equality, Blinken said. China has been accused of suppressing religious practices that do not align with the state-sanctioned beliefs. The most well-known instances perhaps involve the Uyghur Muslim population in Xinjiang. Reports suggest that upwards of 1 million Uyghurs have been held in detention camps, subjected to forced labor and even sterilization. These actions are part of a broader campaign to assimilate this ethnic minority into the Han Chinese majority. But the Uyghurs are not the only group facing religious persecution. There have been widespread reports of crackdowns on Christian house churches and Tibetan Buddhists. In fact, it's said that the Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, has been living in exile for over 6 decades due to China's policies. The Chinese government has also been accused of meddling in religious institutions. For instance, the appointment of Catholic bishops in China has long been a bone of contention between the Vatican and Beijing. The Chinese authorities insist on appointing bishops, a move seen as an attempt to control the church in China. Despite these allegations, the Chinese government maintains that it respects religious freedom and that its actions are necessary to maintain social stability. However, critics argue that these measures are severe violations of international human rights standards. The situation in China has drawn international concern and condemnation, leading to its categorization by the United States. Turning our attention now to Pakistan, another country that has been marked as a country of particular concern. Pakistan's placement in this list is due to a myriad of issues that have come to light over the years. The country's constitution declares Islam as the state religion and uses a combination of the legal system and societal pressure to enforce religious conformity. This, in turn, has led to an environment that is often hostile to religious minorities. Let's delve deeper. The blasphemy laws in Pakistan are a prime example of this intolerance. These laws, which carry a potential death penalty for anyone who insults Islam, have been used disproportionately against religious minorities, often to settle personal disputes. They have fostered a climate of fear, where people are cautious about discussing religion, for fear of being accused of blasphemy. Additionally, the Ahmadiyya community, a sect that identifies as Muslims, is systematically persecuted in Pakistan. They are legally classified as non-Muslims, and their practice of Islam is criminalized, denying them their basic right to religious freedom. Then there are the forced conversions, particularly of Hindu and Christian girls, to Islam. These girls, often minors, are kidnapped, forcibly married, and converted, a brutal violation of their basic human rights. The plight of religious minorities in Pakistan is not limited to these instances. Discrimination and violence against them are rampant, often with impunity. The state's inability or unwillingness to protect these communities further exacerbates the situation. The picture painted here is not a pretty one. It's a tableau of intolerance, discrimination, and violence. It's a narrative that speaks of a country where religious freedom is not a right for everyone, but a privilege for a select few. The state of religious freedom in Pakistan is alarming, hence its placement in this category by the United States. Religious freedom is a cornerstone of any democratic society. The importance of this freedom cannot be overstated, and it's evident in the watchful eyes of America, who has categorized both China and Pakistan as countries of particular concern. These designations arise from severe violations of religious freedom, with both China and Pakistan facing their own unique challenges. It underscores the need for continual vigilance and intervention in countries where this fundamental right is threatened. As the world watches, we wait to see how these countries respond to their categorizations and, more importantly, if they take steps towards ensuring religious freedom for all their citizens.